Sup, Guardian Kaz here, and welcome to the War Preparation Movie. This is for our upcoming Megawar against Tyranny, which is this coming Sunday, the 26th. Now, I do apologize for the lateness of this video. I had to wait till we sorted the war details and stuff out. But that is done and dusted, and it is Sunday, the 26th, which at the time of making this video is just under 3 days away. Now, this war will be unlike any other you have ever been to. It is a 2004 style fight, but there are a lot of changes which make it really unique. So, all of the major points will of course be covered in topics in the Megawar forum. This video is just going to run through everything really quickly and conveniently, so please do take the time to watch it, and let's get straight into it. Okay, part 1, we are just going to go over the base details. Now this is a free-to-play Megawar in the wilderness, of course, and we're fighting Tyranny. Now, there has been a date change. The war is now on Sunday, the 26th of August. It's been pushed forward from Saturday. We'll be massing at 4 p.m. Eastern, which is 9 p.m. GMT, and we'll mass at Juliet's house in Varrock on World 20. That's on the screen now, and I'll put in a map. That's our traditional massing location, and of course the war will start an hour afterward at 5 p.m. Eastern, which is 10 p.m. GMT. All styles fight with some limits. I will go on to the styles a little bit more in the gear section, and this is a full out, which means no returning, because returning was considered no honor back in 2004. The war itself will take place at the bandit camp. It is in shallow wilderness, and it is a pretty new location for us in terms of wars, but don't worry, there's still a lot of stuff to hug around, such as the ruins to the south. However, there are a few rules. Firstly, you cannot go outside of the bandit camp, you cannot go south through the lava, you cannot leave through any of these exits. And as well as that, you cannot go into the houses with the doors, otherwise we'd have people opening and shutting doors when trying to tank. It would be a complete mess. So you cannot go into either of these two houses with the red tops. Okay, that's the basic stuff covered. Now we're moving on to part 2, which is setup and gear. This is a 2004 style fight, so there's quite a lot of stuff which isn't allowed. So what you cannot bring is on the screen now. Now this is an all styles fight, but everyone can only bring one style each, because no one hybrided back in those days. So you have 4 choices which are available to you. These are as follows. Option 1 is your basic melee setup. As you can see here, I have a rune full helmet, rune plate body, rune plate skirt. The skirt is lighter than the legs with the same bonuses, rune kite shield, and a rune longsword. We're not bringing scimitars to this fight. Scimitars are disallowed, so rune longswords, guys. I've got a standard purple cape, no team capes, no clan cloaks, so get those bought. I've got green dragonhide van braces, leather boots, amulet of power, and no rings because we had no rings available to use back then. Inventory, you have a staff of fire, green dragonhide body for tanking, strength potion 4 dose, and the rest swordfish. You could bring lobsters if you really want to, but they heal less and I don't see why you would, so bring the swordfish. Option number 2 is the advanced melee setup. It's pretty much the same but with 2 small changes. First off, you swap the rune longsword for a rune battle axe because you want to be in there dealing damage, and you've got the amulet of strength instead of the power ami to help you out with that. This is only available to those with 99 attack, defense, strength, and constitution, so if you have max melee, you can bring this instead of the standard melee setup because we trust in your tanking abilities. Option number 3 is the Rangers. As you can see here, I've got a rune helmet, green dragonhide body, green dragonhide chaps, and a maple shortbow. I have 200 adamant arrows. You can bring more of those if you want. Purple cape, amulet of power, green dragonhide van braces, and leather boots. Inventory, I have my rune plate and rune skirt for tanking only. You're not bringing a melee weapon because you can only attack with range. You've also got your staff of fire for tanking, 4 dose strength potion, and the rest swordfish. And finally, option number 4, which is the mage setup. I have the wizard hat, wizard robe top, monk's robe bottom, because in 2004 we didn't have the wizard robe bottom, so we had blue scourge, which no longer exists, so bring the monk's robe for the prayer bonus. Anti-dragon shield for no negative mage bonuses and a little bit of defense. You've got your staff of fire, purple cape as usual, amulet of power. If you want, you can swap that for an amulet of magic, depending on your magic and defense levels. You've also got leather van braces and leather boots. Inventory, you have the rune helm, plate, skirt, and kite as your tank gear. You are not bringing a weapon, so no rune longswords, no battle axes, because you cannot attack with melee, only mage. In terms of your runes, you have 800 air runes and 200 death runes. That will give you 200 fire blast. You can bring more if you want. And you've also got 200 natures, 300 earth, and 300 waters because those are your bind runes. I need to remind you guys that if you're maging, you will be the only people in the fight who can cast the bind spell, because the melees cannot bind, the rangers cannot bind, so you guys are in charge of keeping our target stationary. As well as that, you've got your swordfish once again, and that's pretty much it for the gear section. Okay, now we're going to cover your game setup. Now for your combat style, if you're a melee, you want it set to slash for your rune longsword, or if you're bringing the advanced melee, hack, which is for the rune battle axe. For rangers, this should be set to rapid. If you are a mage, however, then you want to go to your spellbook and select autocast fire blast, so you'll be fire blasting most of the time, but you also want easy access to the bind spell because you need to be binding as much as you are blasting. So ideally you should have it set up so that everything is hidden except the combat spells. And remember, binding will win us this fight, so bind as much as possible. You will also need to have auto-retaliate set to off, so that you aren't attacking back when you're being palled, and you don't get KO'd quickly and stupidly. Set your quick prayers before the fight as well, and remember to get off curses, get off lunars, get off ancients, and stuff like that. Start off with 15% defense and protect from range. You will need to switch prayers between melee, magic, and range depending on what styles they have on you most when you're being palled. And if you really want to save that rune plate body and you have a high enough prayer level for it, use the protect item prayer as well if you really want to, but don't waste all your prayer points on it. Now onto your graphic settings. This is really important as well. Your manual setup should be on minimum so that you lag as little as possible, and your screen sizing should ideally be unfixed, but you can use resizable if you want because you might be able to see a little bit more around you, but of course you might lag a little bit more. So I say use fixed, although it depends on what your computer can handle and what you are comfortable with. Audio settings also really important. The second bar from the top should be on full. This is your sound effects, and that will let you know when you're being hit, so you know when to put your prayer up and when to start tanking. Everything else, music, area effects, and speech should be off. In terms of your chat box, you want to have your game chat on filter, public chat on hide so you can see what's being said in the friends and clan chat. Private chat should be off so our fight doesn't get crashed. Friends chat should be on. We'll let you know who's friends chat to join on the day. Clan chat should be on, trade off, and assist off. And that pretty much covers the gear and setup bits, so we're moving on to part 3, which is pre-war planning. This, guys, is the fight of the year, and you need to be prepared for it as best you can, because luck favors the prepared. First off is the gear stuff. On the screen now you'll see a list of all the unusuals that we will need for this war, so if you do not have these now, as soon as you finish watching this video, go over to the Grand Exchange and buy it. Make sure you have everything you will possibly need so we don't have to waste time handing stuff out at mass. 3 quick tips on how to make sure you do not miss this fight. Number 1, phone. Everyone has one. Set a reminder in your calendar. You can't see it because the screen is too bright, but it does say WG versus Tyranny. Number 2, post-it notes. This method has not failed me in 3 years. Pack of post-it notes, WG versus Tyranny, and the mass time for you on there. Tear one off and stick it on your computer monitor. You will be surprised at how well it works. Number 3, alarm clock. Buy yourself one of these, and on the day of the war, set the alarm for the mass time. Be there. On the day of the fight, get yourself geared up a few hours early and get yourself over to Juliet's house, log out, and try and lounge on the IRC or even TeamSpeak so that we can give you a highlight or maybe even a shout out when it's time for the mass. The worst possible thing you can do is miss out on the entire fight, come on an hour afterward and say, oh, sorry guys, I forgot about the war. Do not let it happen, guys. And the second worst thing you can do is get up to the war zone, we're about to start the fight, and suddenly you randomly have to leave the computer because of real life stuff. Say to family and friends, hey guys, I'm going to be busy for about an hour, maybe 2 at this time. Please do not disturb me. Keep your schedule clear and do not miss out on this fight and do not let anything get in the way of it.
Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening.
Do not be like his lordship, and please remember to use the toilet before the war. And make sure you're not starving to death during the fight either. Don't forget the traditional RuneScape war food of pizza, Coke, and onion rings. Oh, that's hot. Finally, the last thing to mention in this section is training. If you're close to getting a level up in any combat related stat, go for it. The basics for training are on the screen now, and remember this is a non-returning fight, you only get one chance to perform, so every level counts even more. The day of the war. This is going to cover what's going down on Sunday from the start of the mass to the end of the fight itself. It is an hour mass, but you ideally want to be there at the very start of massing time, so try and get there on the hour. Now the first half hour is going to be everyone getting set up and ready. We're going to get people on TS, make sure all the gear is handed out to people who need it, although you should have your gear already, and the GE is like right there anyway. If we have extra time up until 1:45, we'll have at least 15 minutes for the speech, music on TeamSpeak, basically to get us into game mode, and we also do our bonfires at the very end. With 15 minutes to go before the war, we will leave Juliet's house and walk over to the monastery to grab the +2 prayer bonus for everyone, and then we'll walk into the wilderness and up to the bandit camp. We should arrive 5 minutes before the start. Leaders will give out any final notes that they want to make, and the war should start on the hour. We'll meet Tyranny either inside or just outside the bandit camp, say hello and good luck, and hopefully we will have outpulled them. Because if we do outpull, that means they have to go inside and get themselves set up, and we get the attacking advantage. Now the tactic we're going to use is similar to what we did in 2010 in the Battle of Turning Tides, but with a slight twist that we're going to be all spread out in a death charge. Why are we doing a death charge? Because one, if we all run in, all spread out, no fallen, it would be really difficult for Tyranny to coordinate a click for their first pile. So that's one thing, it'll help the confusion, and two, it looks cool. Now when we do run in and we see Tyranny, and don't worry, I know the bandit camp is fairly confusing, so I will have at least one scout in to tell us where Tyranny are. When we do see Tyranny, you can just run in and attack anyone. Make sure every Tyranny member is getting hit. There will be no actual pile for the first 2 or 3 seconds. And after those 2 or 3 seconds are up, when every Tyranny member is being attacked and so, then our leaders will call a pile on TeamSpeak, and we'll all stop attacking random people and then get on the pile. This tactic is hopefully going to send Tyranny into a state of confusion, because their members will not know whether they're being piled or not, because they're all being hit and they will have no idea what the fuck's going on. Hopefully it will give us those crucial few seconds advantage at the very start of the fight, and from there on it's just a simple matter of keeping the upper hand. In order to keep the upper hand, I'm just going to go through some of the basic tactics with you, such as hugging, piling, tanking, and dragging, and so on and so forth. You should all be familiar with these things anyway, but I'll run through it fairly briefly. First off is piling. As soon as our main tactic is over, which is the mass click, everyone needs to get on the pile. There is no sniping in this fight, so everyone must be on the pile at all times. We are all attacking the same person. If you cannot find the pile, sit down, rest up, and look for the WG spam tower, or listen on TeamSpeak for the leaders and try and find out where the pile is. If not, find a fallen leader and they will take you to the pile, although the bandit camp is a fairly small place and it should not be too difficult. The next thing we need to discuss is spamming. Now spamming is absolutely essential to wars for 2 reasons. 1, because it lets our members know where the pile is, and 2, because it looks really cool on video so we get new recruits. Now this is a no hybriding fight, so it is not that difficult to spam. We will not be using auto typers because they were really no honor back then. Just click attack on the person and then just type WG enter, WG enter, WG enter over and over and over. We should have an off the screen spam of WG at all times, because remember, the harder you spam, the harder you hit. Next up is tanking. You should all have your sounds on, as I explained earlier in the video, so as soon as you hear the combat sounds of you being hit, 1. Throw up your quick prayers. 2. Put your tank gear on. 3. Start to eat and start to hug. Do not do it in any other order, because if you try to eat food while staying motionless and being attacked in robes with no prayer on, you are going to die. You are going to get KO'd, and you are probably going to cost us the fight. So please do not do it any other way. 1. Prayers. 2. Tank gear. 3. Food and hug. Simple as that. Now remember, this is an all-styles fight without hybriding, so you are likely to have at least one of every different style on you at any given time. We will be targeting their mages, so there should be a few less mages on you. The best way to deal with it is to put on your green dragon hide body, which it will deflect some of the magic hits, and then switch between the protect from range and protect from melee prayers, depending on what they have most on you. There is a lot of stuff to hug around in the bandit camp. Just remember that you cannot go inside the houses with the doors, and you cannot leave the bandit camp itself. You can use the ruins in the middle-ish, like I'm doing in the video here, as you can see. If you are out of food, out of prayer and stuff, and you're about to die, what you can do is go to the south, try and hug them off around one of the spear walls, and then drag straight north, because that might just get them off you and you can continue fighting with us, or if not, at least you will waste some of their run energy. So if you're about to die, just drag from one end of the camp to the other, so if you waste their run, that will help us out a lot as well. Final notes, no looting, unless we are raping them. If we're outnumbering 2 to 1, and there is absolutely no chance of us losing the fight, I will turn a blind eye if you pick up a rune plate here and there. But if it's an even fight, do not waste your inventory space for loot, because if you do end up getting piled, you could cost us the fight. Do not take the risk unless we're guaranteed a win. Now the sign-up topic is already up in the Megawar forum. We only have a few days left to go, so if you've not already done so, go sign up now. And I believe that is everything I've wanted to cover, so let's bring this war preparation video to an end. Don't forget guys, sign up, show up, and fuck shit up. I'll see you on Sunday, Guardians.